The Empire had conquered 17 star systems in less than a century. Their massive warships moved through space like hungry beasts, swallowing smaller civilizations whole. Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the blue planet grow larger on his viewing screen. Earth. The humans called it home. His intelligence officers had studied humanity for 3 standard cycles. They learned about human wars, their weapons, and their military strength. The reports made laugh. Humans had only one defensive fleet stationed near their home world, one fleet against the might of the Armada. It seemed almost unfair. Commander, his second officer spoke with confidence in his voice. Human transmissions detected. They are demanding we identify ourselves and state our intentions. Smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Tell them the Empire claims this system. They have 1 rotation of their planet to surrender. If they refuse, we will take what we want by force. The message was sent, expected fear. He expected panic and begging. Instead, the human response came back calm and measured. A human admiral appeared on screen. She was a small creature with dark skin and gray hair. Her eyes showed no fear. "This is Admiral of the United Earth Defense Force," she said. "The Empire is not recognized by Earth or its colonies. You will turn your ships around and leave our space immediately. This is your only warning." Laughed out loud. Other officers on the bridge joined him. The idea that one small fleet could threaten the mighty Armada was amusing to everyone. "One fleet cannot stop us," declared loudly for all to hear. "Prepare for conquest. We attack at dawn." Those words would become famous throughout the galaxy, not because they inspired fear, but because of what happened next. The Armada numbered 300 warships. Each vessel was larger than anything humans had built. Their weapons had destroyed civilizations that were older than humanity itself. They had never lost a major battle. Victory seemed certain. Admiral had 47 ships under her command. The humans called it the First Response Fleet. Military experts from other species had studied Earth's defenses and concluded that humans would fall within hours. Some gave them days at most. Nobody expected what was about to unfold. As the fleet approached Earth's defensive perimeter, strange readings appeared on their sensors. The human ships were spreading out in an unusual pattern. They were not forming traditional battle lines. They were not positioning themselves for a defensive stand. They seemed to be creating a web. "What are they doing?" wondered aloud. "This formation makes no tactical sense." Commander watched with curiosity. Perhaps they have accepted their fate. Perhaps they hope to slow us down while their people escape. It matters not. Continue the advance. The fleet pushed forward, and then everything changed. The first sign of trouble came when 10 ships suddenly lost power. Their engines died. Their weapons went offline. They drifted helplessly in space while their crews tried to understand what had happened. "Report," demanded. "What struck those vessels?" "Unknown, Commander. Our sensors detected no weapons fire, no missiles, no energy beams. The ship simply stopped working." Before anyone could respond, 20 more ships went dark, then 30 more. Panic began spreading through the fleet as vessels died one after another without any visible cause. Admiral watched from her flagship, the Prometheus. A small smile crossed her face. Humanity had learned long ago that the best weapon was one your enemy could not see or understand. While other species developed bigger guns and stronger shields, humans had focused on something different: electronic warfare, cyber attacks, invisible weapons that struck at the heart of enemy systems. The web her fleet had created was not a defensive formation. It was a transmission network. Every human ship was broadcasting targeted signals designed to infiltrate computer systems. They had spent years studying technology from captured vessels. They knew every weakness, every flaw. Commander's voice trembled now. "We have lost 112 ships. They are not destroyed, they are disabled. Their crews report complete system failure. Could not believe what he was hearing. The greatest armada in history was being crippled by an invisible enemy. His own ship systems began flickering. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Fall back," he ordered. "All ships retreat." But retreating required working engines, and those were failing too. Admiral opened a communication channel. Her face appeared on every functioning screen in the fleet. She spoke calmly, as if discussing the weather. "You made a mistake that many before you have made," she said. "You counted our ships. You measured our weapons. You calculated our strength based on what you could see. But humanity's greatest weapons have never been the ones we show. They are the ones we hide." The fleet drifted helplessly. 243 ships were now completely disabled. Their crews sat in darkness, breathing recycled air, unable to even send distress signals. But Admiral was not finished. Disabling the enemy fleet was only the first phase. Now came the demonstration of why humanity should never be underestimated. The 47 human ships moved through the crippled armada like wolves among sheep. They did not fire their weapons. They did not destroy the helpless vessels. Instead, they did something far more terrifying. They boarded them. Human Marines in advanced combat suits cut through hull plating like it was paper. They moved through alien corridors with practiced efficiency. They captured engine rooms, bridges, and weapon systems. Within 6 hours, humanity had taken control of 187 warships. Commander was dragged from his bridge in restraints. His flagship, the pride of the Empire, now flew under a human flag. As he was led to a holding cell, he saw human engineers already studying his ship systems. They were learning, adapting, growing stronger. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread across the planet. People celebrated in the streets, but in military command centers there was no celebration. There was only preparation. Humanity's leaders knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would not accept this defeat quietly. They would send more ships, larger fleets, more devastating weapons. Earth needed to be ready. Admiral stood before the United Earth Council 3 days after the battle. She presented her plan with the same calm confidence she had shown when facing the Armada. "We have captured their ships," she explained. "Our engineers are studying their technology. Within 1 year, we can integrate their advances into our own vessels. Within 2 years, we can build ships that combine the best of both species. Within 5 years, we can become the dominant military power in this region of space." A council member raised a concern. "Will this not make us the aggressors? Will we not become what we fought against?" Admiral shook her head. "The Empire has conquered 17 star systems. Billions of beings live under their control. We did not start this conflict, but we can end it. We can free those who have been enslaved. We can show the galaxy that there is an alternative to conquest and domination." The council voted unanimously. Project Liberation was approved. Across the galaxy, news of the human victory spread like fire. Species that had lived in fear of the Empire began to hope. Resistance movements that had been crushed for generations started rising again. The impossible had happened. Someone had stood against and won. In his prison cell, Commander received regular updates about his Empire's reaction to his defeat. The Emperor was furious, would be executed as a traitor and a failure when he was eventually returned home. The thought did not frighten him. What frightened him was what he had seen in the eyes of his human captors. They were not cruel. They were not vengeful. They treated him with respect, fed him well, and even allowed him limited communication with other prisoners. But in their eyes, he saw something that chilled him to his core. Purpose. These humans were not fighting because they enjoyed war. They were not conquering because they craved power. They were building towards something. They had a vision for the future, and nothing would stop them from achieving it. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, humanity launched its first expedition beyond its home system. A fleet of 200 ships, half of them redesigned vessels, ventured into conquered space. Their mission was not conquest, it was liberation. The first system they freed was VII. They had been slaves to them for 60 years. When human ships appeared in their skies, they expected new masters. Instead, they received weapons, training, and the choice to determine their own future. Word spread. More systems rose against their overlords. The empire that had seemed invincible began to crack. Admiral, now promoted to fleet commander, led the campaign personally. She became a symbol of hope across dozens of worlds. Alien children learned to speak her name. Former slaves named their children after her. She was not a conqueror, she was a liberator. 5 years after that first battle, the empire collapsed. Its emperor fled to unknown space. Its remaining military forces scattered or surrendered. 17 star systems were free for the first time in generations. Humanity had proven something to the galaxy. Size did not determine strength. Numbers did not guarantee victory. What mattered was intelligence, adaptation, and the willingness to fight for something greater than oneself. Commander, now an old prisoner, was offered a choice. He could return to his scattered people in disgrace, or he could help build something new. He chose to stay. He became an advisor to the new Galactic Council that humanity helped establish. He shared everything he knew about tactics, technology, and psychology. He watched as former enemies became allies. He saw species that had warred for centuries learn to cooperate. When asked why he had changed, he gave an answer that became famous throughout known space. I said one fleet could not stop us. I was wrong. One fleet did not just stop us. It changed everything. Humanity showed me that the purpose of strength is not to conquer. It is to protect. It is to free. It is to build. I was a commander of destroyers. Now I help create something that will last beyond any empire. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. When facing humanity, never count only their ships. Never measure only their weapons. Never assume you understand their strength based on what you can see. Because humanity's greatest power was not in their technology or their tactics, it was in their refusal to accept defeat, their ability to adapt and overcome, their willingness to sacrifice for those they had never met. One fleet could not stop the empire, but one fleet could inspire a galaxy, and that, in the end, proved to be far more powerful than any armada ever built. The stars had new guardians now, and they would never forget the words that had made it all possible. One fleet cannot stop us. Those words had been spoken in arrogance. They had been answered with courage, and the echo of that answer would ring through space for 1,000 generations.